Let's begin from introduction. Who am I? I'm Liza. I'm going to year 13 and I study maths, further maths, economics and politics. And I'm part of KYCC where I work on making sure young people like you are given the right tools to make smart decisions. So today, I want to show you that economics is not some distant, boring subject full of confusing graphs. It's actually the reason why I choose what's next to buy, whether you save your pocket money, and how companies and influencers try to get into your head. And actually, economics is the best subject. I love it so much. And hopefully, I will show this passion and inspire you to study economics after this masterclass. So this masterclass is about money, power, and the real life choices you make every single day and how to take control of them. So let's begin. I will share my screen and let me know if you can see it. So first, why are we doing this? Why should you care? Because the truth is, most schools don't really teach you about money. You might learn about algebra, Shakespeare, photosynthesis, but not actual things you are going to use in real life. They don't teach you how to avoid debt, how to manage peer pressure, or how to make smart choices when your emotions are involved. Yet every single one of you is already an economic decision maker. Whether you're buying snacks at break, choosing what to wear, or saving for something big, you're already using economic thinking. You just might not call it that yet. So this masterclass is about making that invisible thinking visible. It's about learning how companies influence you, how your friends affect your choices, and how you can fight back and stay in control. The most common misconception is that you need to be super rich or old to start learning about economics, but it's not true. You don't have to be a banker or a millionaire to use economics. You just have to understand how power works in money and how to use it well. So we will explore that together. And we begin with an interesting topic about peer pressure, but not the typical kind that you may learn in PSHE. We will look at it through an economist's lens. In economics, peer pressure is part of behavioral economics. It's my favorite part of economics because it mixes psychology and economics together. So peer pressure is how people copy others around them when making decisions, even when it's not logical. As this is called herd behavior. You follow what others do because you assume they know something you don't, but often they just follow someone else. So for example, let's say everyone is wearing a certain brand of trainers, for example, Nike. Suddenly you feel like you need them, but that's not a rational decision. That's social pressure turning into consumer demands. There's also something called status goods. These are items people buy to show off, not because they are better quality. Yeah, think about designer labels or brand new phones. This give you symbolic value, but not real economic value. Economists call this the Veblen effect, and it explains why sometimes the more expensive a product is, the more people want it, even if the product itself isn't any better. And yeah, finally, there is diminishing marginal, a low diminishing marginal utility. Basically, the first time you wear something new, or the first time you, I don't know, you eat a Mars bar, it feels great, you're so satisfied. But the 10th time, you barely notice, yeah. And in the case of Mars bar, you will start hating Mars bars from that time on. But that thing that advertising, social media managers and peer pressure trick you into constantly seeking that first hit. So here's a secret no one tells teenagers: you're not bad with money. You're not. Yeah, you're being manipulated. A lot of companies today use behavioral economics to nudge you into spending. They don't sell you products. They sell you feelings, belonging, popularity, confidence, and that's where FOMO, fear of missing out, comes in. You scroll through TikTok or Instagram and see people with something you don't have. Your brain immediately thinks you need to fit in. But again, that's not a rational choice. That's an emotional nudge. Digital advertising algorithms are designed to show you what your peers like. And suddenly you start thinking, if everyone everyone else has it, yeah, should I? But in reality, these platforms are just running choice architecture experiments on you. Choice architecture means they are testing which message will make you click buy now. So again, it's not about you lacking self-control. It's about you being targeted using tools developed by behavioral economists, data scientists, and social media managers. But you can absolutely fight back, and it's easier than you think. So here are three powerful tools I use, and they work no matter your age or income. So first, the 30-day rule. It's very simple. Before buying something that isn't essential, write it down and wait 30 days. If you still really want it and it fits your budget, go ahead. Yeah, for example, Labubus. If you really want this green or pink Labubu, instead of buying it straight away, spending £80 on a small toy, yeah, write it down in your notebook and wait for 30 days. If you still really want this Labubu and it fits your budget, you have this £80 to spend, go ahead. But you'll be shocked at how often that feeling disappears. That's called cooling off your impulse bias. And also, this thing may not be popular anymore. Like Labubus have definitely dropped into their in their popularity. So 30-day rule helps a lot. Second thing is setting personal spending goals, not vague ones like I want to spend less. It's not going to work. Yeah, I mean, real specific goals like I want to save £20 this month to buy a birthday gift for my friends, or I will only spend £10 on snacks this week. If you don't set the goal, advertising will do it for you. Yeah, and you will be manipulated. You want to take control of your life, then set yourself personal spending goals, and make sure, yeah, that you fight against these manipulations as much as possible, and you take the control of your life and you build your dream life, what you actually want, not what Instagram, TikTok dictates you to do. And finally, ask, yes, the most important question of all, would I still want this if no one saw me with it? This question cuts through the noise. It helps you spot if you're buying something for yourself or for an audience. Most of us deep down want to feel seen, accepted, cool. That's totally normal. But your money, again, should be used to build the life you want, not the one Instagram wants for you. So once you start asking these questions, you'll find yourself making stronger, smarter decisions and feeling way more in control. So 30-day rule, set personal spending goals, and think about, do you really want this, or you just want to show off somewhere with this good. So we have now poll time, and this poll will be about peer pressure. So hopefully you will see the poll in a minute. And so you have, if your favorite brand released a 200 limited edition hoodie, would you buy it? So let's look at the results. So correct or best answer is B or C, depending on your needs. And most of you not most of you, everybody submitted a correct answer. Yeah, remember that hoodie isn't magic. Yeah, it's mostly marketing. And if you wouldn't want it without the logo hype, it's herd behavior. Real value comes from how much you actually use and enjoy it, not from others seeing it. So well done, guys. And now we are moving on to the next topic. What is the stock market? So, all right, imagine you've got a genius idea. Maybe it's an app, a clothing brand, or a new piece of tech. You want to launch it, but there is a problem. You don't have enough money to make it real. That's where the stock market comes in. The stock market is a place, or more often a computer system, where people buy and sell shares of companies. So a share is just a tiny piece of ownership in a company. So when someone buys shares in, say, Nike or Apple, they actually own a slice of that company. Now, why would the company sell pieces of itself? Very simple, to raise money. This process is called an IPO. If you know what IPO means, write it down. IPO means initial public offering. Yeah. Then firstly, firm sells its shares to the public. For example, when Coca-Cola first went public in 1919, a single share cost only $40. So if your great-grandparents had bought it and reinvested all the dividends, that share would now be worth millions. So the company gets money to grow, and you, as an investor, get to earn part of the profits. So it's a win-win. So the stock market isn't just about money. Yeah, it's about backing ideas you believe in and potentially building wealth along the way. Now let's talk about why people actually invest. Why not just save their money in a bank? The answer is very simple: inflation. If your money just sits in a savings account, it loses value over time. For example, if inflation is 5%, your £100 can only buy £95 worth of stuff next year. So investing is a way to outpace inflation and grow your money over time. The first reason, as you can see, why people invest is for growth. If a company becomes more successful, yes, say Netflix or Tesla, its share price goes up. And if you own shares, the value of your investment rises too. So if you invested, for example, initially £100, but the company has started making more profit, yeah, the value of the company has risen, and your assets, yeah, what you own in the company, the price of your shares has also gone up. So you've made some money. The second reason why people invest is for dividends. These are small payments that some companies give shareholders, like a thank you for believing in the business. For instance, if you own shares in Unilever, which owns brands like Dove and Ben & Jerry's, you would get regular dividend payments just for holding their stock. And third, long-term wealth building. The richest people in the world almost never keep all their money in banks. They own assets, property, businesses, and as you can see, shares as well. There is a famous graph I once read about in Ray Dalio's Principles for Navigating Big Debt Crisis. It shows how over the long term, equities massively outperform cash. I haven't found the exact same graph, but I found the version from Bloomberg and Barclays Private Bank. So basically, you can see clearly that if you invest in cash, yeah, actually the real value of your money goes down, yeah, because inflation outpaces the interest rates you get on your money. However, if you invest in equities or in US Treasuries, so it's basically bonds. Bonds is when the government sells loans to the public, which then the government uses to spend money on infrastructure, healthcare, education, and you get higher interest rates, yeah, if you buy out the loans from the government. However, if you invest in equities, so stocks and shares, the value of your assets can raise much more rapidly. Yeah, we can also see that equities are more volatile, which means that they can they go up and down more frequently and with a greater range compared to US Treasuries and cash. Yeah, but the thing, it probably comes up in every single financial or economic book I read, but over a 20-year period, there was no 20-year period in the human history when the equities didn't go up, which means that if you, for example, even if you invested right before the 2008 financial crisis, yeah, in 2007, when there were asset bubbles, the prices, the value of the companies was massively inflated. Even after the drop, yeah, when you think that you've lost your money, actually, over the long-term period, equities still have risen. Yeah, so if you invested in 2007 here, yeah, by 2013, you've already gained some money. Yeah, so if you keep your equities over a long time period, they will make much more profits for you comparing to bonds, yeah, such as US Treasuries, and especially more than cash. Yeah, remember, try not to hold your money in cash because inflation just eats your money. So hopefully this graph and my explanation have showed you that um, stock markets investment is not that hard. Yeah, it's not just for people in suits shouting on the phone. It's a way for anyone, including you, to build freedom and options for your future. Yeah, because if you invest money early, then compound interest can make you rich um, over several years. But I need to be clear, investing is not a guaranteed way to get rich. Yes, people do make money, but they also lose money, especially when they don't understand the risks. So you need to think of the stock market like a roller coaster. Yes, you can see here. So it goes up, then down again. Yeah. Um, if you panic and sell during the drop, for example, you bought your a share in a company in 2007, for example, let's say for $50, but then it dropped, yeah, and it's, for example, started costing $20, yeah, you lock in your losses, yeah. So you shouldn't panic. You shouldn't sell during the drop. During the drop, the smartest thing you can do is to buy more shares, more stocks, yeah, because you need to buy cheaply and sell when the value of your stocks and shares get expensive. This is how you make money. But most people, they listen not to their cold mind, but their emotions, and yeah, they sell here and lose their money. Another biggest myth that you need to that you maybe saw in TikTok or Instagram is that you need to constantly buy and sell to make profits. Yeah, like a TikTok trader flipping stocks for clout. But in real life, successful investors usually do the opposite. They buy good companies and hold them for years. Yeah, again, if you bought a company in 2003, now, yeah, the growth would be enormous. Yeah, by 2025, it probably would be about 500%. So I'm sure you've all heard about Warren Buffett, one of the richest men alive. He made 99% of his wealth after the age of 50. Why? Because of compound growth over time. Um, yeah, so your money adds up quickly. Yeah, and the more time you hold your stocks and shares, the more money you get over time. So, what does investing actually take? The most important thing is patience, because real investing is often boring because you need to analyze and you should make research, and it will take years to make some actual money. Second most important thing is research. You need to understand the business, not just the hype. Just because you love to drink in Starbucks doesn't mean that you need to run and buy a stock, yes, stocks from Starbucks. You need to understand the business, yeah, um, how much profit it makes, and do a proper research. If you want a separate masterclass on stocks, how to choose stocks and how to invest, we can do this, but you can't just focus on how to make research because it would take hours. But again, there are lots of videos on YouTube about this and books. So this is your homework. If you're interested, then go home and analyze, yeah, how to do this. And self-control, yeah, ignore the noise, stick to your plan. Remember about herd behavior. Don't listen to others. Don't assume that others know better than you do. If you have done proper research, if you analyze everything carefully, then stick to your plan. Yeah, don't listen to what other people say. And this mindset, yes, that people, for example, sell. You're probably like thinking why people sell after the price goes down, because it's obvious. It's obvious you want to sell it expensive, not cheap, and you want to buy it cheap. Yeah. So if you bought, for example, here, yeah, it's costed $20, and then you sell in 2019 when it, I don't know, costs $200. Yeah, you make so much money. So why people do the opposite? It's because of loss aversion. It's a famous economics concept. Yet people hate losing money about twice as much as they like gaining money. Yeah. So pain of losing something is twice as big. So they sell too early. They sell here. So I'm teaching you this to help you recognize and resist emotional decision making early in life. Yeah, because imagine losing all your money just because you, instead of suppressing your emotions, instead of using your cold mind, yeah, you follow the hurt. So as you can understand now, investing isn't about being clever. It's about being calm. Yeah, being calm is probably one of the most important features of a successful investor. And finally, I will stop talking for a bit, and you have another pool. Now it's about stock market. We will see how well you remembered the information. So again, open the chat and vote. Um, if you haven't done it yet. So read the question, yeah, which of this is true about investing in stocks? And vote, please. Well done, guys. Yes, correct answer is B. You can lose money, but also potentially grow it. Yeah, because stocks aren't an instant money machine. If it was an instant money machine, then everybody would invest, everybody would be millionaires, but unfortunately it is not like this. Yeah, so stocks can rise and fall daily, but over time, with research and patience, they can build real wealth. So the key is long-term thinking, not chasing quick wins. Remember that, again, there was no period, no 20 years periods in human history when stocks didn't rise. So you might be thinking, cool, I want to try this, but don't run to your bank account just yet. The best place to begin is with a simulated investing app. Trading 212 has a practice mode where you can invest fake money and watch how the market works. Why is this valuable? I mean, pretty obvious, because it lets you learn without the pain of losing real cash. It builds your knowledge and confidence. Yeah, so at least first year, I would just use this practice mode. Yeah, so you learn, for example, watch a YouTube video about investing, and then you can try it out in this practice mode. Yeah, so build your knowledge, build your confidence before you start investing real money. Second, you must know the difference between investing and gambling. If you buy random crypto coins because your mate told you they're about to go viral, that's not investing, that's betting. Investing means you've looked at the company, understood its product, its growth model, its competition, and you've made a rational decision. Third, never invest money you can't afford to lose. This is a golden rule. If that £50 was meant for your bus pass or birthday gift for your sibling, it does not belong in the stock market. And finally, start with index funds. So what are index funds? Index funds are like big baskets of companies. For example, the FTSE 100 or the S&P 500, the most famous one. When you invest in them, you're not betting on one business. You're spreading the risk across hundreds. In economic terms, this is called diversification, and it reduces systematic risk. Even if one company fails, for example, Boeing goes bankrupt all of a sudden, your entire investment doesn't collapse. So before you try to beat the market, start by understanding it. Learn the rules of the game and only then decide if you want to play. And remember, you can't win the game unless you know the rules. Yes, so you need to follow the rules. If you don't like them, just don't play. Okay, and we are moving on to topic number 3. Economics and its real impact on your life. So you might not sit in a room and read the Financial Times just yet, but economics is already shaping your daily life. So let's break this down. First, inflation. This is when the prices of things around you start rising. Food, clothes, your bus fare. In 2022, UK inflation hit over 11%, the highest in 40 years. So imagine a bag of crisps that used to cost £1, now being £1 11p. Yeah, not now, just a year later in 2023. So you're not buying more, but you're paying more. That's inflation. If you want a cool economic definition of inflation, it is a sustained rise in the general price level, reducing the purchasing power of money. Okay, so a sustained rise in the general price level, reducing the purchasing power of money. Okay, so purchasing power of money is basically how much your money can buy you, what can you get with this money. It matters because when inflation is high, the money your family earns buys less, as that can cause stress at home and even affect your lunch or travel budget. Second, interest rates. This is set by the Bank of England and they influence how expensive it is to borrow money. So if your parents have a mortgage or a student loan, higher interest means they have to pay more back. Right now, the bank rate set by the Bank of England is 4% on the moment of recording this masterclass, but it changes quite frequently. So you can check it on official Bank of England websites. But yeah, right now it's 4%, which is much higher than 20 years average 3.1%. That makes buying a home, car, or even borrowing for university, which will affect lots of you soon, a lot more expensive. And third, recessions. Recessions is when the economy is shrinking. Yeah, people have less disposable income, which means they can, so they earn less, they have less money to spend. Because they have less money to spend, they buy less. And because businesses produce as much goods and services that can be sold, if people buy less, firms produce less goods and services. And because labor is a derived demand, demand for labor is a derived demand, which means that labor is not wanted for itself, just on its own. You're not employed because you have cool outfits or you're a chill guy. You're employed because you produce goods and services. If you don't produce them, you're not employed anymore. You're fired. So because firms produce less goods, you're not needed anymore suddenly, and then you're laid off. So jobs start disappearing. During a recession, it becomes harder to get a part-time job, again, because less goods and services are produced, and university graduates might take longer to find work. So while economics can feel like something adults talk about, it's actually the invisible force shaping your future. So let's zoom in. What's actually happening in the UK today, and how does it impact teenagers? You guys. First, the youth unemployment rates. According to the ONS, which stands for Office for National Statistics, as of 2025, the unemployment rate for people aged 16 to 24 is around 14.2%. That means out of every 7 young people actively looking for a job, 1 is unemployed. And the most common misconception, which I was also confused about initially, unemployed people, it is not people who don't have a job. Okay, so if you have friends who don't have a job, but they're not looking for one, they don't want to work, they want to chill out and just focus on their studies, they are not unemployed. Okay, so a person is unemployed if they have actively looked for a job in the past months and are ready to begin working in the nearest 2 weeks. So out of all those people who actively look for a job and are ready to begin in the nearest 2 weeks, 14.2% cannot find job, even if they really want it, but they can't. And the rate for adults is less than half that. So young people are getting hit harder. And this is one of the reasons why you should care, because you're often affected even more than adults are. Why adults are less affected? Why unemployment rate is lower for adults? Because when businesses struggle, they are less likely to hire inexperienced workers. It's an example of what we call last in, first out hiring bias. Okay, so now let's talk about student loans. Since reforms to the student finance system, students in England now repay loans under Plan 5, starting at just over 25 grand in income, but repayments last up to 40 years, and interest is linked to inflation, which makes university much more expensive in the long term. And then there is transport costs. In some areas, bus fares have gone up by more than 15% in just 1 year. That might mean some students have to choose between travel and lunch. So economic policy isn't just theory. It changes your timetable, your travel, your choices. And understanding this gives you power, because if you can explain how policy works, you can one day help shape it. And this is a time for a new poll. So now we will talk about economic environment. So the question is, if inflation is 6%, but your savings on 2% interest, are you gaining purchasing power, losing purchasing power, or it's staying the same? So, I mean, 100% voted for losing purchasing power, and you're absolutely right. Yeah, so you're earning interest, 2%, but prices are rising faster. Yeah, 6% and your money grows. Yeah. So if prices go up quicker than your interest rate, yeah, brings you more money, then obviously you are losing purchasing power. Yeah, so if you subtract 6 minus 2, we get 4%, which means, yeah, your purchasing power is decreasing by 4% every single year. Yeah, so this means you can buy less with the same amount over time. Yeah, that's why understanding inflation matters. It silently eats away at your savings. So now, the big question, why should you care? I mean, I hope I've already persuaded you. Yeah, I explained why it matters to you, but a few more examples, yeah? Because behind every decision in your school, your NHS appointments, and even your phone data costs, there is economics. Let's take your school. Whether your school gets a new building, has enough teachers, or offers free school meals, that depends on government spending decisions. That's called fiscal policy, how much money the government spends or saves. Don't confuse it with monetary policies, because monetary policies are controlled by the Bank of England, which has become an independent body from the government on 6th of May 1997, under Tony Blair's government. So yeah, fiscal policies are controlled by the government. They include government spending and taxation. Yes, so injecting money into the circular flow of income, so into our economy. And taxation, yeah, it's a leakage, because we have less money in the economy when government taxes us. Monetary policies, on the other hand, as I said, they're controlled by the Bank of England, and they control interest rates, yeah, which affects how attractive it is to save money, yeah, because the higher the interest rates, the more money you get if you save your money on a bank account. But at the same time, it affects how expensive it is to borrow money for a mortgage, yeah, student loans, etc. So again, monetary policies, Bank of England. Fiscal policies, governments. The way I remember, and don't confuse them, is I watched a series called Money Heist, yeah, and it was about robbery, the robbery in Spain. Yeah, it's a robbery of a bank. So now I remember, yeah, Money Heist, money. It's money, monetary, yeah. It's about Bank of England, Bank of Spain, etc. Fiscal policy is the opposite, yeah, the government. Yeah, so let's get back to the presentation. So mental health services, yeah, long waiting lists, not enough youth therapists. There's also economics. It's about opportunity cost. A definition of opportunity cost is the second best alternative for gun when you make a specific economic decision. Yeah, so if the government spends more on defense or transport, there may be less left for mental health. Yes, this is opportunity cost. This is the next best alternative for gun. If prices going up, again, this is inflation. Yeah, if prices are going up and your family's income doesn't, that causes stress, arguments, or even missed school lunches. That's not just a personal issue, it's economic inequality. So the bottom line is, when you understand economics, you don't just watch the news. You decode it, you spot the patterns, and you ask, whose interests are being served? And that gives you the power to take action or change the system itself. Okay, now you might be thinking, this is interesting, Liza, well done, but what can I actually do? You don't need to be an adult to start thinking economically. So here are three super simple ways what you can do. One, follow just one good news source. Pick something like BBC News, Financial Times for Teens, or even The Economist Instagram. Just check headlines once a week. That's it. Over time, you will start to recognize trends, and that's how economic literacy begins. Two, join a youth economics initiative. There are amazing free things out there, like the Young Enterprise programs, Bank of England youth groups, or school-led investment clubs. Some even offer awards or national competitions. Yeah, if you have at school, for example, a business club, entrepreneurship, investments, yeah, make sure to join them. For example, I have made finance and investment club in my school, so it can help you a lot, yeah, to increase your economic literacy. And three, just stay aware, yeah, because the more you understand the world around you, the less likely you are to get manipulated by marketing, pressured into poor choices, or scared by things you could have prepared for. Because being economically smart doesn't mean having a bank account or stocks. It means being strategic with your choices. And in a world where so many people feel powerless, that gives you an advantage. Okay. Remember, if you have any questions, you can prepare them for Q&A. For now, the easy chat is turned off, but you'll have a chance to ask them later on. So now we are moving on to arguably the most interesting topic for most of you, entrepreneurship. So let me ask you something. Have you ever thought of a problem and immediately imagined a solution for it? If you've done that and thought, hey, people might buy this, people might pay for this, congrats, you've already thought like an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur is someone who spots a problem and uses limited resources to solve it in a way that creates value. That value might be profit, time saved, something more efficient, more fun, more accessible. And here's the cool part. Entrepreneurs don't wait for permission. They don't need a big budget or a fancy title. They just start small, often from their bedrooms, and work with what they've got. Think of people like Ben Francis, founder of Gymshark. I hope you've all heard about Gymshark. They're very popular on TikTok and Instagram. So yeah, Ben Francis, the founder of Gymshark, started in his parents' garage while he was a teenager. Or Whitney Wolf Hart, founder of Bumble, solved a social problem with Stack. Every business started with an idea, and every idea came from someone asking, what's broken and how can I fix it differently? Now, let's go one level deeper. Every smart business decision is based on economic thinking. First, supply and demand. If you're selling something, you need to ask, is there actual demand for this? Just because you love it doesn't mean others will pay for it. A good entrepreneur finds that sweet spot where what people want meets what they're willing to pay for. I've read an amazing book from Tina Selig, What I Wish I Knew When I Was 20. I really recommend all of you to read it. It's the best book that exists in the world. And what she said, that you need, when you want to make money, when you want to do something, you need to find the intersection because between what you're passionate about with what you're good at and what with the market. Yeah, is there a market for the skills and your passion? Because for example, you can be very passionate and very good surfer, but if you live in Austria and there is no ocean, there is no market. Yeah, you cannot earn money on this. You can be, for example, a coach, surfing coach. Yeah, so think about again what you're passionate about, what you're good at. Usually these things coincide, and whether there is a market for it. Yeah, real people actually pay for this. Remember, just because you are good at something, just because you're passionate about it, doesn't mean others are ready to pay for it. Yeah, you need to solve a problem that people have. So second is opportunity cost. This one is big. Yeah, hopefully you remember the definition I've said a few minutes ago. Yes, that it is a next best alternative for gun when you make a certain economic decision. Yeah, so every choice you make, time, money, effort, means saying no to something else. If you spend £20 on materials for bracelets, that's £20 you can't spend on something else. If you spend 2 hours making TikToks or to promote your idea, and that's 2 hours you're not revising economics and potentially getting a bad grade for your essay. So there's always opportunity cost. Yeah. When you do something, when you spend your time on something, you don't do something else. When you spend money on something, you can't spend them on something else. Yeah. So time, money, effort is all opportunity cost. So every entrepreneur needs to think, is this trade-off worth it? Yeah, so right now you're making an opportunity cost because you're dedicating your time to learn something new about economics, about entrepreneurship, about stocks. Yeah, and this is a trade-off you've made. Yeah, the opportunity cost you could have, for example, hanged out with your friends or watched TikTok. Yeah, but you've made a good choice. Well done, guys. And finally, pricing strategy. This is where most people go wrong, and I went wrong as well. Yeah, you don't just guess your prices. But I think it was a few years ago when I gifted to my friend and her mom 2 candles, and then my friend asked me how much is one candle, and it was like a tiny candle, and I just said £7. I don't know who sells like candles for £7. Um, but it was like an arbitrary number. Please, guys, remember, yeah, about pricing strategy. Don't repeat my mistake. It was so stupid. Yeah, if you do this, you're never gonna get rich. You're never gonna have a successful business. Yeah, you start with cost, how much it costs to make or provide. Yeah, so costs include raw materials. For example, if you make candles and wax, and yeah, so for example, tins for candles also includes, for example, electricity and labor cost. Yeah, so um, how much do you want to make an hour? Yeah, for example, £6 an hour, then this should be included into your cost. And then you have margin. Yeah, how much profit you want. So, for example, if it costs you £3 to make a custom notebook and you sell it for £6, your profit margin is 50%. Okay, to calculate profit margin, you need to take price, subtract cost, and divide over price. And if you want it in a percentage form, then times by 100. Okay, so price minus cost divided by price times 100. Yeah, so 6 minus 3 gives us 3, divided by 6, 0.5 times 100, 50%. Yeah, but if no one buys your custom notebook at £6, you need to rethink, do I reduce my price, lower my costs, or add more value? That's where economics and business become one. Every good pricing decision is a strategic calculation. It's not an arbitrary number. Okay, so cost plus margin. So let's talk real life now. What can you actually start doing? You don't need to wait until you're 25 with a degree and a loan. In fact, some of the best businesses come from teens. Why? Because you're close to real problems. School stress, tech confusion, or even just people not knowing how to do things like Canva or Excel. That's where your value lies. So I've given you suggested a few smart, low-cost business ideas you could try, but again, I strongly recommend you to read the book from Tina Zilic, What I Wish I Knew When I Was 20, because that's the book that inspired me to study abroad, and to study like something like business, entrepreneurship, finance, economics. Yeah, and I'm going to study economics and management, hopefully in Oxford next year. So definitely read this book, because it will help you to come up with some more creative ideas. So this is just some basic ones that can you get started. So for example, tutoring. Yeah, if you're good at math, English, or even music, you can offer sessions to year 5 or 6 students. Parents pay for confidence. Tech help. Yeah, if you know how to fix a printer or set up a Google Doc, that's marketable as well. Handmade items, bracelets, artwork, origami, slimes back in the day. Yeah, it's all about uniqueness. And finally, online content. Yeah, if you're good at speaking, start a mini YouTube channel or TikTok to review books or explain subjects. Monetization can come later. But yeah, here is a real principle I want you to take away. Start small, think smart. Don't overinvest. Don't spend thousands of pounds straight away. Don't try to go viral on day one. Yeah. Silicon Valley wasn't built in one day. Um, so don't expect quick returns. It's a long-term game. So focus on a real problem, test your idea, and then improve. That process: idea, test, feedback. Idea, test, feedback. It's called creating a minimum viable product. Minimum viable product, or MVP in business. It's something I learned while reading books like The Lean Startup. I should have it here. I have an actual printed version. So The Lean Startup, read it as well if you're interested in entrepreneurship, business, marketing, management. And it's something even huge companies use, yeah, minimum viable product. So hopefully you've got some ideas here. You've understood how economics shapes business. The only thing I want to say, yeah, don't be discouraged by your age. Yeah, many people say, oh, you're just like 13 years old, what can you do? Actually can do quite a lot. And starting as a teen also gives you one enormous advantage: low risk. Yeah, you can fail cheaply. You can lose like small amounts of money, and you don't have to pay for mortgage, you don't have to pay for university just yet, you don't have to pay for utilities. Yeah, so you can afford to lose money. You can learn quickly. Yeah, when you're young, it's much easier to learn, and you can grow confidently. So you're in a very good position, guys, to launch your first startup. But before you launch anything, whether it's selling handmade hoodies or launching a podcast, you need to ask three crucial economic questions. First one: what problem do you solve? Because every product that sells is solving a problem. A tutoring service solves stress and confusion. A handmade bracelet might solve the problem of finding a unique birthday gift. A digital planner might solve the problem of disorganized revision. If you can't answer this clearly, what problem do you solve? People won't buy it because they won't understand your value. So the main question you need to ask yourself: what problem do you solve? Second question is: who is your customer? Be specific, not just everyone. That's never true. Are you helping year 6 students struggling with math, or parents who want quiet educational time for their kids? This is called market segmentation, breaking a big audience into smaller, reachable groups. And I used to work back in the day as a targetologist. Basically, the idea is we're setting up advertising campaigns in social media. And this is what we did. Yeah, so I asked my clients I sent them a brief of questions, and which allowed me to find out more about their business and about their audience, and then we separated their audience and their interests, yeah, so that we showed the specific advertising to specific people. And this is why it's important to understand who is your customer, yeah, because you need to understand how you can help them out. And the third question: how will you market it? You don't need money for marketing, but you need strategy. So where does your audience spend their time? What kind of message speaks to them? Is it on Instagram stories, posters at school, WhatsApp groups? Marketing is about matching the right message to the right people in the right place at the right time. Okay, so right message, right people, right place, right time. Yeah, memorize this: right message, right people, right place, right time. Even billion-pound firms have to answer these questions. Yeah, so what problem do you solve? Who's your customer? How will you market it? They all answer these questions, but they use fancy terms like target persona, value proposition, and customer acquisition. You're doing exactly the same, but with less jargon and more instinct for now. Yeah, but as you develop, as you learn more, you will also know this cool jargon. And here's the best part. Yeah, if you learn to ask these questions now, you're building the exact mindset that values in economics, business strategy, and management. And this will help you enormously in places like Oxford, Cambridge, London School of Economics, Stanford, Harvard. So Well done, guys, for joining. And remember to always ask these questions when you're thinking about your own idea. Full time. Now, the poll will be about entrepreneurship. So we have a question. Hopefully, as many people as possible will be able to answer. So, which is the best first step when starting a business? You're so quick, guys. Literally 5 seconds and you all answered. Well done. Yeah. So obviously the correct answer is B. So yeah, you need to find out what problem you're solving. Yeah, a business succeeds because it fixes a problem people care about. So before you spend money or make posts, you need to know your customer and why they would choose you over others. All right. So if you only remember 3 things from today, let them be this. 1. Understanding money is a superpower, and not just in the get rich sense, but in how you see the world. Economics gives you the tools to predict outcomes, understand incentives, and see the hidden forces behind people's choices. Whether you're deciding to spend or save, to launch a business, or pick a degree, your financial awareness gives you an edge most teenagers never get. 2. Be conscious, not reactive. If you read Kahneman's book, Thinking Fast and Slow, you know about System 1 and System 2. One of the best books for behavioral economics, Thinking Fast and Slow, really recommend it. So System 1 is our reactive system, emotional, yeah, it's like reflexes. So yeah, it doesn't want to think, it just wants to do something straight away. On the other hand, yeah, our system 2 is reflective, conscious, slower, analytical, less emotional. So try to be conscious, try to use your system 2 as much as possible. Try not to be reactive, because marketers, influencers, even policymakers, they rely on us not thinking. Whether it's fast fashion, £8 coffees, or payday loans, the system profits of short-term thinking. They want you to use system 1, but be smarter. You need to use system 2 as much as possible. Yeah, so now you've learned how to pause. So remember questions. Is this a need or a want? Do you actually need it? Can you survive without it? Or you just want it because, yeah, because it's a cool thing to have? Am I buying or am I being sold to? Yeah, is it because you want something, or actually it's not the life you want? It just hard behavior because everybody has it and you manipulate it. Do I understand the opportunity cost here? Yeah, do you understand which next best alternative you give up when you make a certain economic decision? That's conscious economics, the kind that gives you power, not just pocket money. This is why economics is so important, because it gives you a chance to take control of your life and stop being manipulated as much as before. And 3, economics is your everyday toolkit. It's not a dusty theory in a textbook. It's in how you choose your subjects. It's in how your school is funded. It's in how prices rise, jobs are created, and systems are shaped. If you can learn to use this toolkit now, you will be miles ahead of most adults by the time you're 18. Now, here's where you take control. No one changes their relationship with money just by listening to a talk. But if you act, even in small ways, you build momentum. So your 3 tasks are on the screen. First one, set a financial goals this month. Maybe it's saving £10 for something important. Maybe it's donating to a cause you care about. Or maybe it's simply not buying snacks for a week. Goals create intention. They train your economic brain to think in outcomes. Second one, track your spending for 7 days. Yeah, don't judge yourself. It's okay. Just write down every penny on paper or an app, in an app like Emma or Money Hub. After 7 days, you will start seeing some patterns. Yeah, did you spend more on food than you realized? Were most purchases spontaneous? That self-awareness is a behavioral economist dream, because awareness is the start of change. Yeah, remember, you need to recognize your problem. You may be in a horrible situation, you may have horrible spending habits, but the first step to do something and to become successful in whatever area you're trying to be successful in is to understand where you're at, understand what are your advantages, skills, and disadvantages. Yeah, what are you doing well and not well. And this is, yeah, you need to look at the harsh truth, and then you can build up your momentum and your plan, your strategy from there. And the third one, share with what you learned with a friend or sibling. Teaching someone something makes it stick 10 times better. Plus, economic literacy spreads when you become a multiplier. And who knows, you might spark someone else's entrepreneurial journey just by starting a conversation. Maybe you find the co-founder of your startup. So this is your plan. Remember, yeah, set yourself a spending goal, track your spending for 7 days, and share what you learned with your friend or sibling. And before we finish, yeah, I just want to highlight something really important. If your family is ever facing financial difficulties, there is support available. The link on the slide takes you to the Kent County Council Cost of Living Support page. Here, families can find help with essentials like food, energy bills, housing costs, and advice services. It also connects you with local organizations that can provide direct support. And remember, money challenges can happen to anyone. It doesn't mean failure. And asking for help is a smart and responsible step. There are systems in place to make sure that you're not alone. And that's it. Remember, we have Q&A. Hopefully you will be able to access it now. But while you're writing your questions, I want to thank you all so much for being here today. I hope this workshop showed you that economics isn't some distant subject made for textbooks or professors. It's about you. It's about your choices, your money, your future. And the truth is, money is never the goal. It's a tool, and you're the change maker. Never make a startup just because you want money. It's not going to work in the long term. You want to do something because you're passionate about it, because you want to solve a specific problem, because you want to make the world a better place. And that's what will drive you. Yeah, money is just a tool to achieve this goal. And because there will be many obstacles along your way, but your passion, your love to people, will help you to achieve whatever you set your mind to. So again, probably have a question, what can I do from here? I've already gave you many ideas, but again, just to summarize, start small, ask questions, be the one in the group chat who knows how interest rates affect student loans, be the one who challenges spending just to fit in, be the one who builds a business that actually solves problems. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be curious, strategic, and brave enough to think differently. Remember, the more successful you are, the less perfect you will be. Yeah, the only person who doesn't make a mistake, well, actually makes one, is the person who doesn't do anything. Yeah, and this is the biggest mistake. You should do something. The more mistakes you make, the better. And this time I will recommend her. I promise, guys, I wasn't paid for advertising, but again, Tina Selig's book, What I Wish I Knew When I Was 20, is very inspirational because again, it's sets you problems as opportunities, not something negative, but something you're looking for and trying to solve. Because again, remember, problems is not something bad. It's your chance to show your skills, yeah, and to solve it and to make the world a better place. So I really hope that this masterclass have inspired you. So if it has, or you want to learn more, you're always welcome to reach out. You can see my LinkedIn on the screen. Yeah, make sure to download this app because it's an excellent tool to connect with employers and employees, to find a job, to share ideas. So it's a professional network. So Every entrepreneur must have it. Yeah, remember to follow clubs at school. And I want to say a huge thank you to everybody who has come today